Hi, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah, all good. Thank you. Hi, it's really nice to share the room with such amazing personalities today. My name is Luis, and today I'm going to be talking about a little bit about housing manufacturing here in Australia. First of all, I would like to thank my supervisors, Professor Blair, Kuys, Mehrnoush, Latifi, and Daniel Prohasky for his support. Yep. Okay. Right. So for the ones that are still unfamiliar with me, my name is Luis. I am a trained architect from Mexico with over 9 years of professional experience. Uh, my experience across Mexico, Canada, Saudi Arabia, and Africa, having led some medium and large scale projects, especially when it comes to computational design and digital fabrication, and also BIM implementation. So these are just a few examples of my previous work. All of them are real, by the way, no AI here. Um, my experience has often involved blending natural landscapes, digital crafting, and custom code development, something that I look forward to apply during my research. Right, so let's start with a picture of Australia. This image tells a story about a promise we're struggling to keep. Across the country, there are ambitious targets for building the new homes set under the National Housing Accord. Nationally, the target was 60,000 homes per quarter of the year. Having completed just under 44,000, that's a struggle of around 17,000 homes in just 3 months. Okay, and as you can see from Western Australia to New South Wales, this isn't an isolated issue. Uh, the national trend is clear. We are facing a significant challenge in delivering the homes that Australians need. So let's put some scale to that challenge. The national goal is to build 1.2 million homes over the next 5 years. To meet that, we need to build an additional 60,000 homes every single quarter of the year. Um, the numbers are very, very low at the moment, and we are actually struggling to even get approvals ready. But here's the paradox. While the demand for housing is soaring, our ability to build is actually going backwards. Incredibly, our productivity, the number of homes we can build per hour of labor, has dropped by 53% since 1995. Think about that. We are half as productive at building homes today as we were 30 years ago. This crisis hits our most vulnerable the hardest. Social housing represents a mere 4.1% of our entire housing stock. There is a roadmap, however, that aims to tackle this by doubling the smart buildings market share and dramatically increase the use of prefabrication. But as the latest figures show, we are nowhere near the pace we need to achieve this goal. Now, you might be thinking this is an overwhelming, almost impossible challenge. I would like to show you how other advanced economies are facing the issue. In Scandinavia, almost half of all houses are built outside, with some estimates as high as 80%. In Japan, prefabrication isn't seen as cheap anymore. It is often associated with high earthquake resilience. And Germany, for example, is using modular housing construction for single-family homes. And then we have Australia. We are using these modern smart building technologies in less than 5% of our construction. We have an ambition to triple that to 15% by the next year. But the hard truth is we have no national strategy. We are being left a little bit behind. So this is a competitive disadvantage on a global scale. In contrast, several countries with the lowest adoption of modern methods of construction are facing the most severe housing crisis. So let's put it all together. What is the core problem? Our construction sector is facing systemic challenges. Failing completions, labor shortages, and rising costs are undermining our national housing goals. We have a proven solution, prefabrication and modern methods of construction, but our industry remains fragmented and slow to adopt the very technologies that could save it. This fragmentation, this reliance on the old ways is part of the inefficiencies, and it's a critical gap in our capability. and it's part of the problem of preventing us from addressing the nation's housing crisis at scale. This is where my research comes in. This project will bridge some of these gaps by developing a data-led computational framework explicitly tailored for the industrialized manufacturing of affordable housing. Think of it as a digital nervous system for the construction practice, integrating core manufacturing philosophies like lean principles, designed for manufacturing and assembly, with a suite of powerful digital tools, enabling the use of IoT sensors and digital twin implementation to be able to predict how the buildings will perform, and a flexible design and BIM platform to act as a central database for every single component. The workflow will function as an integrated cycle where each stage informs the others through a data feedback loop. This transforms the construction process into a cohesive system, allowing seamless digital info flow between design, manufacturing, and construction for continuous optimization. Now, an idea is one thing, but for this to be valuable to industry, I have to prove it works. My approach isn't theoretical, it is constructive. I am using a methodology called research through design, which basically means the knowledge created comes from the act of building, prototyping, testing, and refining the framework. Crucially, this process involves engaging with stakeholders, people like you in this room, to ensure that the digital prototype is actually developed and grounded in real-world needs. And to validate the findings, I'll be using a mixed method approach. I will combine qualitative data, the deep understanding of the why, with quantitative data, the hard measurable evidence to measure the framework impact. So what does success look like? What could be the ultimate contribution? The primary goal is to deliver a validated computational framework, a practical blueprint that makes the housing manufacturing process more adaptable, more predictable, and completely traceable from start to finish. Imagine a workflow where architectural components can be designed for mass customization, be digitally fabricated, and even tracked, embedding also circular economy principles directly into our buildings. Ultimately, this research contributes a novel socio-technical model to make housing delivery more scalable, more affordable, and efficient for all Australians. I look forward to connecting with like-minded innovators like you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Luis. And the microphone, again, the fat finger. Jarvis, can you feel? Any questions from the audience, please? Yeah, here we go. Magic finger.
Thank you very much, Luis. Really clear presentation, especially in terms of the framing and the needs and the where you're trying to get to. How long have you been on it?
I have been enrolled for 7 months, so quite a
very new. Yeah. Okay, that's right. I thought it's just if you go back to the nervous system, you seem to be tackling everything, and I can absolutely imagine how you can do that in your mixed methods.
Yes.
And you can talk to everybody about everything.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, research through design. Are you going to kind of focus in on one or two of these, or have you got another kind of technique for
probably
to something you can do?
Yes, definitely. I think that I will have to focus my research in a specific point here. I recognize that it might be a huge challenge to face all of them or to solve all of these issues at once in a single PhD. But I am optimistic, so let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Mark, and then in the back there. Yeah, I'll just pick up on the great presentation.
Thank you.
And I was waiting for the killer kind of. My question is,
Right.
But I'm actually thinking that the question might be that you work with one of the partners on a hypothetical project
Yes.
and take it through all of those.
Yeah.
And that would be your search for design.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
For people like me, that's
Yes.
the number one approach to
Could be.
research in
Yeah.
that field.
Mhm.
Because and you can do that quite quickly. You'd finish in a year and you'd say, oh, well, what am I going to do for the rest of it? But I think if you were to do that hypothetical, it could expose some really interesting gaps which aren't there.
Yeah.
The gaps and the gaps that you.
Oh, let's go to the gaps. Yeah, here.
Well, those are symptoms.
Yeah.
And because you're doing research for design, you're
Yeah.
going to create something.
Yes.
And test it.
Yeah.
Well, very exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Could you go back to the cycle?
Yes.
I was wondering if why are we using the Rhino logo there? Are you gonna Are you planning to do the whole thing through Rhino?
Yes, my intention is to actually build a plugin inside of Rhino. I'm gonna just give for granted that there is interoperability here linked with Revit. So yes, but the primary focus, and also because my background is as a developer in Rhino, I'm gonna build on top of that. Yeah.
Okay. Just well, okay. It's just like we don't want to build sand castles, right? So if you want to have something like it more, that could be used in 50 years, maybe we have to look into IFC and all of that.
Totally, I agree. Yes, yes.
Yeah, just a second.
Thank you, very good presentation. For me, looking at this circle, I see it's more of information management, how to manage the information and for which needs was the requirements from the sequence before. So I recommend, have you heard of ISO 19650?
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon it would be good use for this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very, really good presentation. And I also thought that the way you identified the issues is really good, really convincing. Yeah, I think it's definitely, I also had the impression that this is definitely very, comprehensive overview of all the issues that you might encounter. And my impression was also, I guess there is a way to do it as the whole thing, but my impression was that each of those problems itself would be a really interesting project.
Yes.
So, for example, I'm interested in the compliance-ready floor plans. So, that's something, and with the pattern book thing from New South Wales, they try to do some of that a bit more. And for example, I think one of the gaps in the whole planning system at the moment is that it's still very, I could see in the future, tools like, computational tools coming into that much more, where you can actually immediately say, even from the planning, like this is going to be compliant, this is not compliant, right? Like what, at the moment, it's still a very fuzzy process, which actually slows everything down a lot, and so anyway, to me, like that in itself is a really tricky, like problem, which would be great to make some progress on that. And I feel like that would be one of the bottlenecks in that whole thing that might actually make a big difference. And I'm sure, and other people have looked at other bottlenecks, but all I'm saying is, I think you've identified some really good issues, and I wonder, I don't know if you're tackling all of them or even tackling one of them. I think would be amazing project.
Yeah, thank you.
Nigel and me.
Good to see you get your steps up there, Hank. Yeah, I've got just 2 points. Firstly, compliance. Are you talking about building code compliance or planning code compliance?
I think it's mostly defining what we are going to build from the very beginning, having in mind that these assemblies or sub-assemblies are already code compliant. So for me, it's more logic to actually build a kit of parts that are already
So-
compliant.
To that point, then
Yeah.
pattern book might be a good place to start because they're the only plans that I know that are pre-approved for any
Yeah.
site within certain parameters. But the other point is, are you focusing on individual housing or apartments or both?
I would like to start small because I feel like I can refine a lot of things if I start small. But I think research is leading me towards the path of tackling medium size residential housing. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it is by code attached dwellings that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, because you've got design for disassembly, are you
Yeah.
focusing on modular as elements or volumetric, which is?
I am about to define which construction system I am gonna build on
Okay.
top of. So that's gonna be a critical part of
Yeah.
you know, launching this workflow.
Because I think narrowing the focus
Yes.
would be beneficial. Because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
territory there that you could cover. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, I love this slide. It's, it's enough to make an industry partner salivate, wanting to kind of do all of this stuff. I think, if I'm being honest, and it goes back to the previous comment, I think you're undermining yourself by putting the Rhino logo on there. But
Okay.
actually aiming, it's like the tail wagging the dog.
Right.
I think, and it was in a previous presentation when we talked about there's never going to be one platform that does absolutely everything. I think it was when we were talking about the generative design tools.
Yeah.
This speaks to a module, like an ecosystem of modular functions that are going to be undertaking these tasks.
Yeah.
And Rhino might do one or two of them.
Mhm.
And so I think you need to, I'd put the technology aside for a moment and actually just think about what you want to achieve for each of these and then figure out what the best route towards that is. I think, by saying I want to do a Rhino plugin, I think it kind of undermines the thought process of this a bit more.
Yeah.
So that's, my thought on that. Just a bit of a recommended reading.
Yeah.
Have a look at the work that was done on the Construction Innovation Hub in the UK.
Yes.
Grimshaw, part of the team looking at that, and one of the outcomes was the product platform rulebook, which was very much based around MMC and kit parts and how that could be used for a number of different typologies.
Right.
So I'd recommend having a look.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm not too sure how far into your project you are, but I was wondering how you're going to define success in each of these investigations with your design methodology, design research through design. And then depending on your answer from that, I was also wondering, have you considered action research methodology? Because the cyclical framework is based off of your successful process previously.
Yeah.
That could be something really interesting to look into. And also if you've considered doing anything based off of data-informed design, systematic thinking as an output for integration of success.
Yes, it's very interesting actually. I think since I am about to finish the very first milestone inside of this PhD journey, which is delivering a literature review, I think I am just in the very early stages of conceptualizing how or what the direction of this research is going to be, right? So when it comes to the research methodology, that's still to be defined, right? So it's super early, and I am just exploring from the academic point of view because I am not. I have come back to academy after 9 years, right? So I am trying to get more and more familiar about the methodologies and stuff like that. So definitely there is room for improvement, and yeah, I will have a look at that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yeah.
So again, a very well done, a very interesting presentation. And my background is from construction management, so you can probably explain for me to understand further of your thinking.
Yes.
So looking at this, yes, you're very optimistic and ambitious looking at all these technologies and you're coming up with a computational framework. So I was thinking, have you thought of BIM, like building information modeling?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a part of it, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we come back to the little icon of the rhino there, right? Because I am giving just for granted that the information flow will not stop. And since we have already interoperability with Rhino, flawless interoperability between Rhino and Revit, I am just giving for granted that the information will not be stopped from one platform to the other. Now the question goes like, am I gonna develop or integrate some kind of toolkit inside of Revit? Probably. I mean, it has to be defined, but that doesn't represent much of a challenge when it comes to stopping or not the information flow.
Yeah. Exactly. Luis, could you please go back to your very beginning on the slides? Because I thought there's probably, that's
this one.
That one is good. The interpretation of 53% productivity drop doesn't mean automatically we manufacture half the amount of houses.
Yes.
So it's a little bit more complex in how productivity is measured as well. So
yes,
I think it's important not to jump to conclusions too early, which then drive probably an outcome based on assumptions. So that's kind of one thing. The other thing is if we look into modern methods of construction, because I think that name was popping up as well. And if you go to the next slide, we see MMC adoption.
Yeah.
So MMC is entirely focused on actually product and product execution. It ignores actually the front end part, which is the role of design, the role of process in the delivery. So that's something you may want to consider as well. And even if you kind of look into the graph, you may think it speaks for itself. But at the same time, coming out of Germany myself, there's a kind of slightly different situation within Germany in terms of the adoption.
Yeah.
And that's linked to some of the cultural elements as well. If you look into Scandinavia is always kind of listed at the top, but it's bloody cold in winter.
Yeah.
And it's dark. So for the factory might be the only way to actually build houses. So again, other kind of contextual aspects need to be considered if you build that argument.
I am well aware of that, and also I want to share that I worked for a couple of years in Canada with very similar situations like in Scandinavia, and they are nowhere near adopting MMC, right? They are very, very behind. So I do understand the contextual situations, and I will definitely have a deeper look and how to adapt this to the Australian context.
Yeah. The other important part is density in terms of population, right?
Yes.
So you can put Germany right in between, and I mentioned that in the earlier conversation here, between Sydney and Brisbane.
Sure.
350 kilometers wide, it's about 87, 88 million people.
Yeah.
And you've got neighboring countries. So therefore, you've got completely different situation, different market of scale.
That's why I want to tackle this research from a social technical aspect, because I think you cannot just ignore the sociological approach and context, and we need a deeper understanding of the reasons why this is happening here. So yeah, thank you very much.
We should have an ongoing conversation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good. Maybe one last question from my side of consideration. If you're going to go back a slide again with all the diagrams. So if the Australian government wants to build X amount of new homes in the future, and you look into the carbon budget from the existing homes at the moment, on average, I think it's 486. But in order to meet our Paris Agreement targets, you have to bring that down to 6 kilogram carbon per square meter per annum. Get the formula wrong. So yes, building more and more houses is politically good because you stop the housing affordability targets. But at the same time, you would completely blow out your carbon target for the Paris Agreement. So maybe one consideration as well in the question of MMC, DFMA, building more homes could also be that most likely we cannot build the homes the way we've built in the past, even if they've been done with the most advanced factory and been pumped out like cars every 30 seconds. We don't really have the carbon means to do so. So maybe if you're going to go just like forwards with your kit of parts. So to say the kit of parts is no longer what you can buy at Bunnings, but the kit of parts is a starting point where you say, well, what materials could be used in order to meet our 6 target? And that's mainly existing materials that have been embedded in buildings at the moment, recycled plastic that we've got in abundance, or other forms of local materials as well there.
Yeah.
So maybe that spin could be becoming a completely different view into the discussion of building houses and the productivity as well, where the means of productivity through the materials is a different productivity than the current one.
Yeah, thank you, Hank.
No last famous words, that makes up.
Thank you. Thank you.